This is the art for Emmessi Tome. I'm going to be attempting to make this art in real life. Try and take a picture and make it as close as possible to this art. Let's see how close I can get. So the first step is to Photoshop this image into pages so that I can print them out. So what I'm doing here mainly is just warping for perspective and cropping, and then I'll put it in a Google document and print it out. So now I just need to find a good book for this art. Let's see what I can get. So I initially thought to get books the rough size of my pages, but then I realized that if we look at this picture, we can compare the size of the hand to the size of the page, and comparing that with these giant books just means that these are not gonna work. That brought me to these two. If we compare the size of our hand and the size of the books, we can see that Jane Austen is much better. Plus, Jane Austen has this ribbon. This ribbon is going to make it look a lot closer to our picture than we could make it otherwise. So if we measure these pages, we can see that they are 9 inches by 6 inches. If we then print it out with those dimensions, we can see how well it fits. With these now printed out, we can see that they fit pretty closely. Now I just have to cut them up. So if we put these into place, then this is already a great start. Let's start with that sleeve. Let's try and find something I can wear that will look like that sleeve. So this is the first option. The sleeves are a bit short, but if I just let them hang straight, then it should work. The other option is this sweater. It should also work pretty well. And oddly enough, the pants I was wearing. The color of these is really close, and they're super long, which means it will be quite easy to get this covering part of my hand, like in the picture. The only part of me that would be in the photo would be my hand and the end of the arm. So the fact that it's a pant leg wouldn't really matter. It would still work fine. So I think I'm going to use this. And then I can put some pipe cleaners around it so that I can shape it and so that I can have that white cup. So that leaves two main things to work on. This background and this ring. This background, this platform, that seems like quite a challenge to me. Like, how am I supposed to get it to be that intricate? So I was trying to think of what I could use to make it when I found this. It's a poster board. I'm gonna chop this up, bring it to shape, and it should be easy to mold and cut holes in and make it the shape, and then I can paint it. First thing I want to do, cut it to the relative overall shape, because this is way too big at the moment. Then I can carve this board to look like the image. So let's see how closely this fits. Okay, so this board is actually quite a bit bigger. I think I want to cut off a little bit of the bottom. Alright, so I got some paint. Now I'm just going to go ahead and paint this and see how it looks. For now, I think that's good. It's a little bit too brown, but hopefully when it dries, it will be less brown. So that brings up the question of the ring. Sadly, I don't have access to really any rings. So the best I can do is a spring, and it's not even gold. The next thing I would need is the ruby part. And I have this necklace. It's got a little ball, and I think if I wrap it around my finger, and then I take this and I just stuff it down my sleeve, then when we look at it from the top, the way the picture would be, then we've got our ring. It's not perfect, it definitely could be better, but I think it does the trick. Now is time for the final assembly. Let's try and put everything together and see how close we can get. After a lot of tinkering with the size and position of the camera, I think that this is roughly a good frame. I decided to do it on the ground because that looked the most similar to the ground in the picture. And there it is. I was thinking of ending the video there, but the more I thought about it, the more I was kind of disappointed in what I made. The sleeve, for some reason, I decided to use a pant leg and it just didn't work at all. And then I didn't even bring it to the end of my arm where it's supposed to be. And many other mistakes. So I'm gonna try it again and see if I can do better. The first thing I want to improve is, like I said, the ring. So the spring from last time wasn't great, but I have a better plan. If I use these little keychain rings, then I can use those and it will be a little more solid and not so dispersed out. Still not perfect. Too bad I don't have any rings that look like gold. So if we then put this on, it works great and it looks like a ring. The next thing I want to improve is the ribbon on this book. So before, the ribbon just kind of hung all the way down, and it didn't look very much like the art. What I'm doing here is I'm gonna fold it into the book so that it doesn't hang down as much. And I cut it down at the end to be roughly the same shape and size. As for clothes, I think I can wear this, and I sewed some pipe cleaner to the end so that I would have that white cuff, and it would have that stringy bit over the white cuff. Then I can shape it so it can be more like a V. I'm also gonna do a little bit more carving and working with that board and make it look a little bit closer to the art. It now looks like this. Now we just have to paint this, and hopefully when I paint it, this will look more like the picture. After painting and drying the board, it now looks like this. And now we can actually assemble everything. Alright, so I think this frame is pretty close as it's gonna get. I also tried tinkering with the lighting a lot, and I think this is fairly good. You can kind of see the lighting lines in a similar way as you do in the photo. I just need to put my hand there now. I got everything set up, and we can get this final shot. So I'm actually going to be taking a video for this rather than a photo, because then I can choose the frame that I think fits it best. So that's the frame, and honestly, I think it looks great. There are improvements that could be made, but overall, it looks extremely similar to the photo. I mean, here's the comparison. They just look super similar. But with that said, there are a few things we can do digitally to make it better. The first and most simple one is just cropping it and rotating it to be the exact same frame. So if we do that as close as I can get it, it looks like this. It's definitely better, but you know, still not perfect. The next one is just messing with light levels. So if I take the background, and I bring that a little bit darker, and then I try and replicate the shadows a little bit more precisely, then it would look roughly like this. Beyond that, I feel like I'm more just creating a digital image than I am really making it in real life, so that's the extent at which I will be photoshopping, but you can see that it does look closer and closer to the real thing the more that I edit it. I feel like I did a good job replicating it, and the images look quite similar. But I feel like the biggest point in improvement here is the ring. I'm sure if I got like some ring and I went out to buy it, I could find something that looks really similar. Don't forget to subscribe.